This is for the young aspiring artists out there. Whether you're a musician, a singer, songwriter, producer, or any creative, photographer, videographer, these things will apply to your craft. I'm a music producer and an artist. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. I've been in this industry. And I just wanted to share a couple things that I've learned the hard way on. I work with a lot of younger artists now. I believe that this is a very interesting world we live in. It's the best time to be an artist because you have more resources than ever, but it's also the hardest because of all the confusion that is out there at all times. Every time you open your phone, you open an app, somebody's yelling at you, something is telling you what to do or what not to do. And I just, let me add to that. No, I hope to add some clarity with what I'm saying today to help you guys be set up for a little bit of success. Number one, I want to touch on how being a creative is a lifestyle. There's so much science behind whatever you're going after, whatever craft it is. The routine is always going to beat out moments of inspiration. I know that a lot of young artists I remember myself when I was first starting, you wait on these moments of inspiration when really, if you were just to sit down and get into a rhythm and do something 5 days out of the week, if you're sitting down, you want to write a song, give yourself a couple hours, write something. But all the greatest poets, the greatest writers, the greatest songwriters, let's take Prince, for example. This man was in the studio all day, every single day. And what that does, it's the law of averages. The more you create, the more moments you create, the possibility for success for yourself. So, this involves just, especially when you're starting, you just got to turn the faucet on and just let that thing run, because you got to imagine a rusty old faucet that's never been turned on. This is your songwriting craft. This is your your editing skills. Turn the thing on. The water might be whack at first, but it eventually runs clean and you start to find your sound, your identity, your messaging behind what you do. The fastest way to that is not these single spurts of creativity and inspiration that are these divine drop-ins, gifts from God. We all experience those. Those are amazing. But you set yourself up for more of those if you were to just get into a routine and make this thing a lifestyle. That's also going to help you with longevity in this thing. I think a lot of the time, discouragement and disappointment in yourself or comparison, these things, they drive you to stop doing the very thing that would just get you out of the rut. If you can set yourself up for success by just continue to write. What happens if you have a song that goes really well and it starts streaming crazy? You got to follow it up. Don't you want to do this for life? You got to do this for life. I think it's hard to remember that when you're super young. As I get older, my vision expands. I start to see things with a little more urgency and clarity. So I know when I was 18 and I was first starting, I got signed to a record label. You're not really thinking about anything past like the shows this weekend. So start to get a little vision for yourself. And I think that starts by just getting in the routine and creating that healthy habit of creating. This is what you were born to do. You need to do it every day. Okay, so a cool exercise I would say to help you find your sound or your touch, your taste with what you do. Take 5 of your all-time favorite artists, study them, dig into their stuff, dig into their work, records, live recordings. I think we're all fans first of music before we're artists, so we naturally do this. But it's an exercise that Quincy Jones would talk about, just taking your 5 all-time favorite artists, study them up and down, interviews, all of it, know their story, and then dig into their 5 favorite artists. And before you know it, you created a lineage of artists that provide a structure and a foundation for your sound, for what you do. And that helps you with decision making when you're in the studio or when you're out shooting or whatever it is. That helps you make decisions quickly because you know a little bit more of the guidelines around what makes up your sound and what you do. On that note, everything's been done before. There's nothing new under the sun. Originality comes from the sum of already existing parts. Imitation is often the beginning of a new thing. If you take multiple parts that haven't been combined before and combine those, it might be a smorgasbord, but it's never been done before in that sense. So I don't care what genre it is, the most brand new genre, it's an amalgamation of different parts that have been done before. But they just combine it in a new way, slam the limiter, whatever it is, and it's hyperpop, And I think that's beautiful, man. I think that's so cool. I think a lot of us worry about not being original or something when no great artist was original. They studied the greats, and they've continued in the footsteps of the people who walked before them and paved the way. And they just picked up the torch and continued and combined these different references, these different ideas in a whole new way. And that's what became original. You are the original. There's nobody else on this planet that ever existed that has the same fingertips, the same DNA that you do. Even twins. My wife is a twin. They don't have the same. So you were born with a special way of telling the message. I wouldn't concern yourself with being original. Just make stuff. It becomes original. Understand that most make choices in the temporary and think the results are permanent. They aren't permanent results. Your L only lasts as long as you let it most of the time. So I think a lot of the time what happens is discouragement, failure, these different things kind of come in and corrupt the flow of what you do. And then next thing you know, you just stop picking up the guitar, you stop singing, you stop feeling that ultimate inspiration. The critic in you is louder than the writer. And I think most of the time, if you've played a bad show, that is gonna be quickly forgotten about when you play that killer show, the next one. When you have a song that doesn't do that well, imagine when the song that actually connects someday and leads people to this song that's already out, then all of a sudden, it's not that it didn't do well, it just didn't do well yet. So I think a lot of the times it's just about not giving up too soon. You gotta manage the middle. So a lot of our favorite artists that we look at, we're watching their moments, their big moments. And especially now, of course, on Instagram and whatever it is, we're able to show big highlight reels of our lives, but nobody sees what's happening between those moments. So I think even watching the greats, they had huge flop seasons, they had crazy L's, I don't care who it is, they've had them. But they were able to manage the middle of those moments very well. Maybe some not so well, but by the grace of God, they're back and they're able to continue doing it. I think what will help with that is staying in that routine like I was talking about, and to not lose the childlike wonder that you had in the beginning. For me, when I started playing guitar when I was 6 years old, it was just me, a guitar, a cassette player, and my little crate amp that sounded like butt, and my Metallica Megadeth tapes. And I would just sit there, play, rewind. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I was ear training. And I would learn by ear what they were doing. And that shaped my guitar playing, that shaped my ear training, my ability to hear music and then play it. But there was such a wonder around that. I used to be so obsessed with it. Like my mom had to rip the guitar out of my hand every single night. I think that kind of obsession is sort of what it takes, especially early on. So most of the time, that's an indication of the plan for your life. If there's certain things that you love, I'm not talking about the unhealthy things. We're not talking about addictions. We're not talking about stupid things like that. I'm talking about artistry and in your craft. Try to remember what that child was like in the bedroom. And I think that'll always add that beginner's mindset and bring you back to a place of wonder in your creating. And lastly, be successful before success so that success doesn't kill you. We see it all the time, the horror stories of fame and, certain things that hit people at the wrong time. We fall apart. Many of us are late bloomers. Some of us get very successful very early, but you want to go into whatever you're doing successful and managing your expectations, knowing what success means for you. For me, for anybody, you are a professional musician, professional artist, professional video editor, whatever it is. The moment you're paying your bills, when you get old enough, paying your bills, doing what you love, that's success. So of course you aspire and you dream for bigger and you constantly just try to reinvent and push forward, but it's important to always remember what success actually is. So success obviously has to do with mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. So look after yourself, take self-inventory. I think obviously creating is the most cathartic thing you can do. If this is something that you were built for, the very act of the craft that you are into helps with your soul. Most people go awry when they stop creating. when they stopped going, when they stopped pushing, when they stopped pouring out what they were given. So this is not a super exhaustive video. This is just something quick. It was like on my heart, on my spirit to share. I'm working more and more with younger artists and as a producer, so I see a lot of the struggles of the mental, the emotional struggles being an artist in today's world, and I just thought I'd share a little something. I'm somebody who has done this in many different forms and adaptations and iterations for, like I said, almost 20 years. So subscribe to my channel. I'm putting out music. I'm going to continue to put out some content like this, some covers, some live sessions, and we're building a little family around this thing. So subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and yeah, drop down in the comments what your thoughts about this, and then also any other topics or any questions you have about any things we talked about. And rest assured, I'm in there. You see me. I'm responding to everything. So until next time, good night. God bless.